afternoon session to our regular meeting of the Board of Lane County Commissioners. Welcome back, everyone who's here. Mr. Mokryski, welcome back. Hope you got your peanut butter and jelly sandwich done today. Good, good. All right, awesome. We have a few items on our agenda. Public hearing items 11, Public Works. The first one is a second reading and public hearing for Ordinance 2409. This is the second reading and public hearing on this ordinance, ordinance number 2409. In the matter of authorizing the exercise of power to charge utilities right-of-way permit fees. Today's date is January 7th, 2025, and this is a public hearing. The order of the proceedings for this hearing will be first the report by staff, and followed by public testimony, and then additional comments by staff. At this moment in time, we'd like to see if there's any disclosures of conflicts or interests on any of the commissioners involved in this decision process today. Do we do that by roll or just by, we'll start with Commissioner Buck. Any conflicts or interests?
None.
Commissioner Trieger?
None to declare.
Commissioner Farr?
I have none.
Commissioner Senega?
None.
And I have none as well. So with that, we'll now hear a report by staff. We have the ever so wisdom Becky Taylor with us from the Senior Planner. Great to see you again. This is you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Lovell and Commissioners. Again, for the record, I'm Becky Taylor. I'm a Senior Transportation Planner. So today, the board is being asked to approve an ordinance that would enable the county to make use of new legislation that allows counties to charge utilities for right-of-way permits, provided the county first authorizes the exercise of that power by county ordinance. The proposed ordinance, number 2409, provides that enabling legislation. The establishment of fees would be a subsequent action by the Finance and Audit Committee. Lane Code requires facility permits for infrastructure and activities within the county right-of-way, including the installation and repair of utilities. The primary goals of the facility permit program are protection of public safety and preservation of the public's investment in infrastructure. The permit process includes verification of applicable standards, including proper traffic control and on-site inspections to ensure the right-of-way is properly restored. Lane Code allows fees to be collected in connection with the issuance of permits. Facility permit fees were established by the board in 2005. Prior to 2005, facility permits were issued at no charge to applicants and costs were absorbed by the road fund. The road fund is the primary source for operating and maintaining Lane County's 1,400 miles of roadways and 425 bridges. In 2005, it was determined that the road fund should not subsidize facility permit costs, especially with most of those permits benefiting individuals. The board chose to waive the permit fee for events that served a community benefit, such as parades open to the public. Other types of permits, such as driveway approaches and road construction, were set at full cost recovery. However, utility companies doing the same type of work, excavating and trenching within the county right-of-way, are not charged fees to recover the cost of issuing permits due to historical state law restrictions, specifically Oregon Revised Statutes 75810. For reference, the City of Eugene charges $890, and the City of Springfield charges $711 for utility permits. In 2001, the law was amended to allow the Oregon Department of Transportation to charge fees. The inability for counties to recover permit processing costs from utilities became a financial burden for many counties which manage the largest share of public rights-of-way in the state. Administration of permits for utility work draws from Public Works' time and budget to review relevant traffic control plans and conduct site inspections. Consequently, this became a legislative priority for the Association of Oregon Counties. During the summer of 2023, Senators Finley and Gorsuch convened a committee of county commissioners and staff from around the state, as well as utility company lobbyists, to develop legislation that would allow counties to charge utility permit fees. The committee met 3 times and drafted language that became Senate Bill 1566. It was passed in the 2024 legislative session with no opposition from utility companies. Senate Bill 1566 establishes a maximum permit fee of $500 per permit and exempts certain activities from permit fees, such as routine replacement and maintenance and emergency work. Under the new law, counties may collect fees beginning January 1st of 2025, but only after adopting an ordinance authorizing the county to do so. Further, regardless of whether a county chooses to collect permit fees, the new law requires utility permits to be issued within 15 days. Exercising authority provided by Senate Bill 1566 to collect a utility permit fee would help offset permitting costs that are currently subsidized by the road fund. If fees were collected consistent with Senate Bill 1566, the road fund subsidy could be reduced by about 62%. Without fees, the program would continue to be subsidized by the road fund, the primary source for operating and maintaining Lane County's roads and bridges. Staff recommends approving the ordinance to exercise this authority that was successfully negotiated between the utility companies, the Association of Oregon Counties, and the Oregon Legislature. As you may know, Association of Oregon Counties presented its 2024 County Road Needs Study to the Legislative Joint Committee on Transportation, forecasting a statewide annual revenue shortfall of 59% over the next 5 years. This enabling ordinance does not set the fees, which would subsequently be an action by the Finance and Audit Committee. At the first reading on December 17th, commissioners requested I address specific questions. Commissioner Senega, I appreciate you asking about stakeholder input and utility outreach. Building trust and positive relationships is a core value we share. The legislation before you is the product of a statewide effort that involved focused stakeholder discussions, including utility company advocates, to actively listen to their concerns, understand their needs, and incorporate their feedback in the decision-making. I was not directly involved in those discussions, but I did speak with Multnomah County staff who were involved, and they shared the many concessions that were made along the journey of drafting the bill, such as establishing a cap on the fees not to exceed $500 and exempting routine activities such as maintenance and repairs from fee collection. The big takeaway success that I heard from that was that the bill passed without any objection from utility companies. And then as for Lane County specific stakeholders, I did send notice of this public hearing to people who've applied for utility permits from Lane County, including Lane Electric, Lumen CenturyLink, Comcast, eWeb, Charter Communications, ePUD, Blatchley Lane Electric, Northwest Natural, and others. And I directly received only 2 comments in response. One was to be removed from the notification list, and the other one just said, thanks for the notice. And then this morning, Steve Mokrahajski received an inquiry from eWeb in which we confirmed that eWeb would be included in this like any other utility company, and they responded, thank you. So please let me know if there's any information I can provide to support communications with your constituents on this matter. An important message is that those free costs to the customers in the past were being paid for by everyone who pays into our road fund, which is not property taxes, but the share of the statewide gas tax and vehicle registration fee. And then Chair Lovall, you had asked if trend changes in the way people receive and deliver services, specifically cable, would affect our revenue projections. Those revenue projections provided in the agenda memo showed that in the best case scenario for cost recovery, we would only achieve a 60% reduction in road fund subsidy. So to your question, if the permit volume drops over time, then yes, the permit fee collection would go down, but so would the related permit processing costs. So any cost recovery would be better than nothing. And as you've heard from us on related matters, such as our fatal crash investigation team, we are under-resourced in our ability to meet our roadway safety goals. And I'm happy to answer any other questions the board may have.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for Ms. Becky Taylor? Commissioner Senega. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Moak, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a math question. So, and I regret not being able to ask this in advance of it coming to the board, but in our agenda memo under Section D, the financial and resource considerations, it does say that the road fund subsidy could be reduced by 62%. However, when I'm looking at the math, it shows the annual program cost of $375,000 roughly. The potential cost recovery of the $500 fee times 283 eligible permits annually only comes to $141,500, which is actually 38%. So I'm not sure what the 62% is referring to.
Yeah, I apologize if there's a math error. I'll trust your math. But I think that's not as critical in this decision-making process. I think what that was really trying to illustrate, it wasn't an absolute math equation because it was theoretical based on projected permit volumes and anticipating if we charged the maximum fee. So it was just to illustrate how any fee recovery would help reduce the current subsidy on the road fund. So currently, we're not charging anything, so it's 100% subsidized. So any permit fees would help offset that subsidy and help recover some of the costs that are incurred in processing those permits.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure that I had the numbers straight in my mind when doing the math, so I knew what we were able to recover. I do know that our road fund is desperately in need of additional finances, and I'm supportive of the of this particular item. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. I had the same question. Commissioner Senga, still a question?
No, I actually just had a statement that I wanted to say. Thank you, how much I appreciate reaching out to everybody, and I think the audience says a lot about this ordinance. So, thank you.
Commissioner Farr?
Thank you, Chair. You know, I always love your presentations, Ms. Taylor. You dot the i's, cross the t's, and do a superb job. I just have a question. It's kind of a general, it's more of a rhetorical question, one that I'll be asking probably fairly frequently as this year progresses. When we step into the area of a new fee, a fee that's never been charged before, we do it very cautiously, very carefully, because we never step out of that area. Once we're in, we're there, and it doesn't typically go away. This will subsidize the current road fund, or it will reduce the current road fund subsidy of the work that's being done by utilities in the right-of-way. And we've all experienced utilities working in the right-of-way, so it does make sense that they would actually pay a fee for the use of that. And so the Senate Bill 1566 was timely, probably past its time, as a matter of fact. But my question is always going to be, we currently have a real need surrounding public safety. Everybody knows that, we acquiesce that. And as we look at new fees, I hope and expect that we consider how does this affect public safety, or could this be directed toward public safety? Some road fund money is directed toward the Sheriff's Department, and this is subsidizing road fund. And my question would be, would instead of subsidizing the road fund, could this be used for public safety? And that is more of a rhetorical question, and I'm not suggesting that it should be. However, kind of casting the net on this, that as we look to add new fees or adjust existing fees, I think there are a number of people, both in the community and on this board, that would like to see public safety as the first consideration before we add it to any other service that Lane County provides. But that being said, I'm in favor of this. I think the work's been done well. We've looked at it already, and I think once again, Senate Bill 1566 was a little bit overdue, and I'm glad that we're leaping upon it as quickly as we possibly can. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. At this point, we have an opening here for any public testimony on the matter. I don't see anyone in here, Saul and Jess. I'm wondering if anyone is online waiting to give public testimony.
We do have someone joining us virtually. So for those joining us virtually, if you would like to give public comment at this public hearing, please raise your virtual hand. I am not seeing a hand raised, Chair.
Okay,
So
thank you.
back to you.
All right, thank you, Jess. Let's close the hearing on ordinance number 2409 at this time. And now would like to have some discussion or a motion or action by the board. Board, do you have any other questions or a motion for us?
Chair, I move to approve ordinance number 2409 as written, and I believe that's with a roll call vote.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all right, so this is a roll call vote. Mr. Mokrahewski, you're doing very well at that. Let's continue with that.
Just making sure I get the order right here. So we typically go
By district.
least senior to most senior with the chair going last. That's how we do it. So,
Okay.
Just going to get that real quick. Okay. Commissioner Senega,
Yay.
Commissioner Trieger,
Yes.
Commissioner Buck,
Aye.
Commissioner Farr,
Seems like yesterday that I was the first on that list, Ms. Mokrahewski, but aye.
Commissioner Lovell.
Aye.
All right. There we go.
Motion passes, ordinance 240950 as presented. Thank you so much. Becky Taylor, great work.
Excuse me, point of order, that's 2409
That's what I
in
said.
the matter of, okay, I misheard, sorry. In the matter-
2409 as presented, in the matter of authorizing the exercise of power to charge utilities right-of-way permit fees.
Great, thank you, sorry, misheard.
Yeah, I heard 9-5 too, so, yeah. Sorry.
All right, moving along, we've got another public hearing from County Council, second public hearing and reading. This is the second public hearing and reading for ordinance 24-10 in the matter of amending Chapter 8 of Lane Code to extend the term and franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon 2 for operation of a cable communications systems to December 30th, 2025, deleting and replacing in its entirety ordinance 22-10 and declaring an emergency as per LC Lane County 8.100.005. This is a public hearing. Today's date is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. And the order of proceedings for this hearing will be first a report by staff, followed by public testimony, and then additional comments by staff. Participants are encouraged to raise issues or concerns with sufficient specificity to enable the county to address or respond to them prior to the board's deliberations. I'll now call for any disclosure of the board commissioner absentations due to conflicts of interest or bias. Commissioner Buck.
None.
Commissioner Trieger.
None?
Commissioner Farr.
I have none, however, Comcast has provided campaign support for my campaigns historically.
Commissioner Senega.
None.
And I have none. Now I would like to also call for any challenges to the board's qualifications to hear the matter from the public. Looking around at many empty seats, is anyone online there, Jess, that would call for any challenges to the board's qualifications?
We do have one person joining us. For those joining us virtually, do you have any challenges for commissioner qualifications? Please raise your virtual hand if you do. No hand has been raised, Chair.
All right, great. Thank you very much. We'll now hear the report by staff. Our fearless Marcus Vehar, Assistant County Counsel, is with us. Good to see you, Marcus. How are you?
Good to see you as well, Chair. Thank you. And so I'm here today to just kind of round out the process that I had started sometime late December. Just to be clear as well, what we're talking about today is going to be an extension of our ability to be able to negotiate with Comcast, to be able to work with our other community partners, which is the city of Springfield and the city of Eugene, as we've been negotiating as a unit, to be able to finalize the agreement with Comcast, to be able to iron out some of the franchising that is done here locally. This has been a long time process, and so this is now, I believe the fourth extension at this point in time. Mostly this was done due to difficulties at the beginning and certain impasses, but then as we progressed further, had more to do with COVID-19 stalling out the process, some health issues from those involved in negotiations, and this final extension, we're only requesting 1 year, as we do believe at this point, we're just rounding out the process and we'll be finalizing terms. When negotiating with an entity such as Comcast, there's oftentimes questions about national standards, comparisons to other entities, and so those have been some of the communications we've been fielding at this point, as well as ironing out some other processes fees. However, as part of the negotiation team, I can identify that I don't really see any further areas of impasse that we think are going to really hold up this issue much further. However, that will be something that will be presented to the board for signature after we've already negotiated the agreement. And so just as a reminder again for today, we're just discussing the extension to allow us to further negotiate, and then the actual final agreement we brought before the board for your final approval, at which point in time we can answer questions based on the actual agreement and negotiations as were had. And so for those reasons, again, we're just extending a process that we've done for quite some time, and I'm happy to field any questions on that.
Any questions for Marcus? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
Just a couple of questions that I began asking in 1995, if you can believe that, when I think it was teleprompter at the time. Back then, it was cable TV predominantly that they provided, and now they provide far more than cable TV. They have internet service and other services. And back then, Ruth Bascom appointed a committee, the Council Committee on Telecommunications, which was groundbreaking nationwide as far as providing the ability to enter into franchises with utilities that use the poles and the ground. But a city councilor at the time, David Kelly, a good friend of mine, said, well, they have no competition. So, we should charge whatever we want to charge, basically. And at that time, it was the advent of what now is DirecTV and other services that don't use any of our ground facilities at all. Do we have any ability to charge franchise fees to people who do not, to entities that do not use our ground facilities at all? Our poles, our ground, our earth, whatever it may be?
That's something I'd be happy to be able to give you some more explicit on coming back. I will say that when it comes to this agreement specifically, because it has to deal with video programming and because of the actual competitive equity that's built into the agreement that we're discussing, so if other entrants want to come in, we'll then renegotiate certain terms and if there is overlap of the services. So there is ways for us to be able to address that as the problems come up. What I can also say, though, if the board is interested in exploring that space further, I'm happy to kind of bring back more research about that specific issue, specifically around control of fees when it comes to those who are not using our right-of-ways, because that's really what this is predicated on, is the fact that they have to use our right-of-ways to be able to operate in this area.
And they provided, of course, the TV access to Eugene City Council meetings and County Commission meetings at the time.
Yes, actually part of the discussions we're also having is ensuring that if there is going to be any disruption in what's provided to government and schools, that's provided with ample notice. And so again, it's all part of what we've been negotiating on with them to make sure that the agreement stays as favorable to the community as possible.
Yeah, well, I think it's come a long way since 1995, and it's more than just our local area. At the time, it was when cell towers were first being built, so all of that was a part of the work that's you and I can talk about that sometime. That is old history today. Thank you.
Very interested, thank you.
Anyone else for Marcus? It's amazing what 30 years of discussion will do, right?
The questions never become obsolete, though.
Yeah, right. All right, now it's time to hear some public testimony. If there's any in Harris Hall that would like to give public testimony in this hearing, now is the chance. I see no one in Harris Hall, and I go back to Jessica online. If there's anyone online that would like to give public testimony, would like to give them opportunity.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to provide public comment at this public hearing, please raise your virtual hand. No hands have been raised, Chair.
All right, thank you very much, Jessica. Any additional comments by Marcus?
No, no, Chair, I do not have any additional comments. If the board decides to not approve the ordinance as presented, I would want to be able to come back and discuss a little bit more about the common interest agreements and some of the other pieces in order to facilitate that, but at this point in time, I have no further comment.
Okay. At this point, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion by the board on what's been presented thus far? Any other more questions or discussions or a motion or action?
Have a motion, Chair.
Let's hear it, Vice Chair.
I move to approve ordinance number 2410 as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been presented by Vice Chair Senegat to approve ordinance number 2410 and seconded by Commissioner Trigger. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Mokrajewski, please.
Did you call for ask for discussion?
I didn't. Is there any more discussion to the motion? Thank you.
Just a quick question, Chair, if I may. We are declaring an emergency on this, and that's something we can substantiate when the question comes, why is it an emergency?
Oh, sure. And so because of the way that the extensions were gone, the last extension we have built in with our code is actually towards the end of 2024, so it extends to December 2024. So we're bringing forth as an emergency just to make sure that this gets changed in our code right away versus waiting the 30-day period into January.
Thank you.
If there's no other discussion of the motion, Mr. Mokryski, please.
Commissioner Senega,
Yay.
Commissioner Trieger,
Yay.
Commissioner Buck,
Aye.
Commissioner Farr,
Aye.
Commissioner Lovall.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0, which is ordinance number 24-10 in the matter of amending Chapter 8 of Lane Code to extend the term and franchise agreement with Comcast Oregon 2 for the operation of a cable communications system to December 30th, 2025, deleting and replacing in its entirety ordinance 22-10 and declaring an emergency LC 8.100.005. Great. Marcus, thank you so much. Good seeing you again, sir.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Okay, as we get to the end of our agenda and the end of our day, we have some commissioners' business and announcements. Looking forward to hearing what's going on in each person's district that they have to announce. Anyone want to go first? Go ahead, Commissioner Senega.
This is kind of an announcement business. Could have happened during a remonstrance today, but I had a meeting with our roads division yesterday. Rate department, man, they're working hard with Orrin, and Sasha was in here. We have some great news. We are getting closer on filling the RFP for towing RVs that have been abandoned. And so they've got every RV that's been taken to a tow yard has been cleaned up and disposed of. And they came up with a number, and that costs about roughly $175 a foot per RV from the time they tow it, store it, and dismantle it. So when you get these calls and complaints, hopefully we can start getting rid of some of these pretty quick. Staff's been working hard. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? That's a staggering number. Think about it. I mean, most RVs are between 24 and 30 feet. A lot of them, yeah. Any other announcements for the good of the order? Okay. Any board assignments that we want to assign? Right bunch, seeing none. Mr. Mokryski, not much to review.
What are we going to do with all this?
I know, all the spare time, right? All right, well, that concludes our business for today. Our next scheduled Board of County Commissioners meeting is Tuesday, January 14th, and Wednesday, January 15th, if needed. I'd like to leave us with a hopeful thought as we leave here today, as we had some switching around and some new things, new faces. I'd like to leave us with this hopeful thought. 2025 can be a year of hope and potency. Let us be focused on doing the important and the impactful. This meeting is adjourned.